boys. We've made it. I have more guitars than I do stands. That's when you know you've made it. You have more tools than you can ask for, but you still fail to do the job. I am feeling a bit better, even more so than earlier, so that's a great sign. I ended up getting a bunch of some vitamins and nootropics. I forget what the exact pronunciation is. Yo, PA, Mr. L. What up, what up, what up? Addy, Abs. Martin, good morning, man. Technically it is morning. Fuck. Can you guys hear the guitar okay? You're losing hope? There's no fucking reason to lose hope. We're all frustrated. We're all pissed off. But that's no reason to lose hope. I was talking with a good friend of mine earlier about how the anniversary to all this shit is right around the corner. And that in itself will fuel a lot of attention. January 27th. I'll do this. Hopefully I'm not too loud. Greetings from Vietnam. Joseph. It's curiosity, isn't it? Yeah, Don. I just saw the clip. Yeah, I'll be live. I'll be live for the market tomorrow. If I want to learn how to play guitar, what should I do? I have a cheap Rogue acoustic. It's a good question. Hey guys, just wanted to stop by here and say hey. Hope everyone here is having a good night. Astro, hope you're doing well, bro. Yo, Matt, thank you, man. Yeah, I'm doing a lot better. Doing a lot better. Still have a little bit of vertigo going on, but nothing terrible. As far as the guitar goes, just find a style or a genre or a guitar hero of some sort that you want to mimic the sound of, and chase after that. You got your basic stuff like chords and scales and all that fucking shit, but you're going to learn those no matter what. So the way that you stay focused, at least for me, is finding somebody that you like to listen to. Hang the clock already? No. Just the man I needed, so I looked harder into the chart, and what if the cycle starts in 2020? Yeah, I mean, it's So there's a line that needs to be drawn between what is the cycle and what is Wyckoff, because the cycle is just its intervals at which Wyckoff take place. The irony is a lot of people during like the early days of all this, where I started sharing what I found, were telling me like it's Wyckoff, and I intentionally didn't look into it because I wanted to retain the pureness of whatever I was digging into. I wanted to retain the organic approach where I didn't have anything predefined. And then not too long after that, maybe David was one of the people who was commenting it, but that's when David Marino Jr. came along, and he really defined, I guess, some of the things that I was seeing and was bringing attention to. So you can see blends. I mean, Wyckoff is all over the place. That goes back to like the 1930s, I think. As far as the cycle that has kind of been coined under my name goes, that starts around COVID. You see like these very concentrated examples of patterns that that steer away from traditional Wyckoff approach, if that makes sense. But they blend together really easily. Wyckoff is just the market maker cycles. Yeah, that's one way to, it's a good way of putting it. Bro, you're getting me hard playing with your hair like that. Stop. No step, bro. How about the pureness of Keith? Oh God, don't even go there. Need to grab my amp. Can you follow me back on Twitter? Send me a DM. Yeah, I got you. How could anyone emulate Lemmy? That would be a sin. That would be a sin. That's on Rico's vid /TA. Rico's a shill. Rico's a really smart guy. Yeah, he's a really smart dude. One of the big problems that we're all witnessing and have been witnessing, even unknowingly, is this blend of expert / knowledgeable traders, investors, and the mentality of the apes, which in itself has huge benefits that the former I mentioned don't have. The idea that you can take a position and then not worry about it, no matter what happens, that's something that everybody fights for. Like, to have... It's not that you have so much confidence. Like, we don't wake up on, minus 10% with the same confidence we had when it was up 200%. But what we do have is this resilience of retaining the conviction that we had when we placed the trade, when we placed the purchase, going into whatever comes next. And if you listen to any expert investor or trader, I mean the greats even, like your Buffetts, your Simmons, I want to say Burry, but that's kind of its own echelon. Any of these credible characters, all will be sure to mention that you have to retain this. It doesn't matter how much capital you're managing. It doesn't matter what your risk profile is. It to have this type of serenity, no matter what the circumstances are, that's what everybody, from bear all the way to bull and all the way to ape, stress is that don't stress. You have to retain your conviction in things, and that goes for not only the market, but in life. People forget that the world around you is always changing, and if you don't have an anchor somewhere in time of a headspace or of a conviction or of a thought process, that if you don't have that and also can't go back and pull from it, things are going to be tough. You know what I mean? Like, to have this mental profile that in itself doesn't change with things changing around you at the immediate level is huge. So my point in that is, there's a couple things, but that's something that a lot of people are envious of, is to be able to have that conviction. And no matter what the market does, if you can retain resilience through that, you can make anything in life your bitch. Is too much conviction bad, though? Yes. And this is where you have to adjust the gradient of how strong is your conviction and whatever's going on in the market, because, and this is in general terms, this is not you have to be able to have enough conviction that anything that isn't worthy of changing how you feel at an organic level, if that makes sense. Like, there's a difference between justified faith and idiotic or willful ignorance, rather, right? Both of these are examples of ignorance. But the challenge for not only the person that is of question here, and the challenge of the environment is when does 159 Les Paul, when does that gradient shift to the other side? When are you so convicted of something that it doesn't matter what happens, is a noble act, versus when is something so in front of you that you're too stupid and stubborn to recognize it? Whichever side of the coin that you're perceiving this event on will determine that answer. But then you run into the problem of, well, is the lens at what level is the lens applicable? So that's what everybody's running into. And I think that the side that we're on is very evident, but that's when you have what I talked about a couple of minutes ago, of when do you let noise become more influential over your own conviction? And if you look at any great feat in history, it's always one guy or a group of people who have so much faith in something or conviction or assurance that it doesn't matter what comes their way. Does that make sense? What's up, Astro? I have the /AFD Les Paul. Yo, good shit. I have that one in my car. Should probably go and get it, but no, well. Yeah, it's my favorite guitar, hands down. This is, I'd say, a second favorite. You really just can't go wrong with a gold top. But something about the AFD just, I don't know. I fit with it really well. Yo, silly. Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm feeling a lot better. My grandfather was a studio musician in Nashville. He owned the 9th Les Paul ever made, sold it for Jesus. Wow. I'm sad to hear that he sold it. I'm also sad to hear that he sold it for so little in comparison to now. I've thought long and hard on this. The purest song ever is Layla. Clapton and Duane Allman at the... Yeah. 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 Ever jam Andy Wood? No, but somebody has mentioned that name before. And I keep failing to look into it. Bro, I've had a rough day today and just got home and seeing you streaming gave me an inspiration boost. Thanks for all your hard work and on the past. Oh, thank you, man. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That's the... people have their own perceptions of what this channel is about, and most of them are wrong. Some of them are close to being right, but very few ever capture the purest description of it. And the purest description is that message right there. Like, I just want to help people think. Because it doesn't matter what any of the things being thought about are true or right. Because their state of being correct or incorrect is not contingent upon how anyone thinks. It's contingent upon itself. That's something you can't change, right? There's modifiers to those perspectives of what is truly right and truly wrong. Perception is the only thing that can change or reinforce it. I feel that I have a very strong direction of what is right and wrong, and so I don't need to compound upon it. And I feel like what a lot of people run into throughout this entire journey is how to think. The paradox with what this is, right, is I'm not telling you what to think. The problem to it is I'm telling you how to think at the most hierarchical what the fuck was that? There's a word. Hierarchical? What's the word for that? Hierarchical level? I'm trying to help you realize how much potential you have by embracing your own lens of thought. Hierarchical. Thank you. Hierarchical. Fuck. My point being is I'm trying to help anyone in any way, right? This channel is more about stocks. There's also some music involved, programming here and there. But what I'm trying to help bring light to is just master the way you think. And if you have the capacity to maneuver your thoughts in a way that isn't interrupted and is also interrupted, right? So binary state here, doesn't become interrupted or does become interrupted. You're trying to take these two concepts of being open to different ideas and also having enough conviction and balls in what you already have defined for yourself, and know when is the best time to change either or, right? That's all I'm trying to help people realize is if you feel so good about something that 9 times out of 10 it doesn't matter what people say or do or what you see on a chart doesn't affect you, right? That's great. But yet we all still find ourselves in moments of doubt. Well, the way that you defeat that is to remove the things that are causing you doubt. If you can understand the other side of the argument or understand the other side of a question, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? But if in that instance the other side or the other part of the question yields something that is worth a change in thought, so this other part of that binary state I was talking about, then embrace it. And instead of being so black and white about it, there's a gradient that you can use. And if you find something that ruins what you thought originally, this is not a bad thing. This is what is called learning, This is what is called learning, and it's okay. It's entirely okay. But this environment that has self-propagated itself since January did one of the most beautiful things ever, which was fuck what you hear. Anything you hear is noise. This stock or this stock have been shorted way more than that of which is willfully admitted to by reporting authorities or message men. So this isn't over until hedges cover, right? And that's great. That's awesome. It served as like the Crusades era of humanity, right? Or what preceded the Crusades era, rather. I mean, fuck. But over the past, I'd say since April and early May, and up until late July, mid-September, that was like the informational Crusades era. And now people are realizing like, okay, you know, we're still going to stick to the fundamentals, but let's embrace some new ways of thinking, right? That's with everything I just said. The entire point is me trying to help in your way of perceiving the shit show in front of you, because so many people want to buy your attention. So many people want to buy your means to think, not only in the market, but in the world. And all I'm trying to do is say, hey, here's how you can find facts. Here are the facts that I've found. You do what you will with them. Here are my thoughts. If you want to hear more, you can listen to me more. But other than that, here's what I know. And here's how I go about handling new and old information. And how do I process all of this in such a way that I remove as much bias as possible, but also use bias when I feel it's necessary. Because we all do that. We all bullshit ourselves. We all come up with ways to convince ourselves that things are fine or things are going fucking terrible, even though rationally we think the opposite. And you find that humanity has mastered this art, and that's why we're at the top of the food chain. Well, on top of opposable thumbs, binocular vision, and bipedal hominid, right? But, like, in the world of politics, marketing, corporatism, even religion, right? All of these things have learned to master the dichotomy of rationality and irrationality. We don't care. Hang up the clock. Fuck you. I'm sure you're already exhausting your beautiful and smart brain. You need to rest, play, and chill. Yeah. One pool table in living room? That is the question. Dragon Force, yeah. We can solve all these problems after the clock is hung. I could solve all my problems right now if I hung you. Hey, Astro, so cool of you to do a video with Trey. I'd like to see the turnaround on your channel. You have a lot to bring to the table. Thank you, man. Thank you. Trey's a great guy. I hate the politics of all this, you know? Like, what was a huge upper hand for me in this was I tried doing Call of Duty videos from, like, 2011 up until 2016. And it never worked because I just didn't fit. I was too young, so my voice would be squeaky as fuck. And I didn't have the blessing of puberty until I was like 18, so you had this very obnoxious voice. I was great at the game, but I didn't have anywhere to fit. But I watched a lot. All of these things that happen in the community, there are the parallels of that I've witnessed in the past, and on both sides. So people undervalue Trey because of conflation of identity. People misinterpret him because of what they hear instead of what they go and watch. And this goes for everybody, including me. And this isn't just about being seen bad when there's good and also good when there's bad. But people undervalue him. And that's part of like the fucking frustration I had from a couple weeks ago. When I made the shillining video. Is it wasn't just about like my own. Oh, Al, what up? Hey, sexy. What's going on, man? There's so many great pieces of information that come from this video player that you're watching from, right? But because it's coming from this video player with the branding it has, it instantly becomes confused and contrived to be strictly in the favor of the creator. When there's legitimate info and data and thoughts and information in general just being broadcasted, the reputation that YouTubers have been given, and a lot of it was earned by the bad apples, right? Despite the information that comes from me and those who are deserved of recognition in this, becomes confused with individual agenda. Like, I wanted to make this my livelihood because I couldn't get away from it. And I was learning so much, and everything that I was learning was ahead of what most people realized. So like, yeah, there's incentive for me. I make money from this. Yeah, that's how it goes. It's because I used to be doing software development for a living. Well, how do I go from doing software dev for a living to this for a living? Well, money, you know? But that doesn't mean that everything I'm doing is to maximize my CPM and maximize super chats. And no, but for me to continue doing this for a living, I have to make money, right? And it's an oscillation that people assume is just always to one side or the other. And the value of what I have to offer and what hundreds of other content creators have to offer is thrown out the window because of conflation of intent versus legitimate yearning to help. And then before you know it, you've completely ruined the openness of what this platform provides. I've done like 2 to 3 Reddit posts, and then I got tired of it because of karma requirements, and people wouldn't fucking actually do anything with it, and the ones that did just made videos out of it, and fucked me. The work that I did became the content of someone else's video, and then no one not only didn't know who I was, but didn't know where else to dig into the idea, to find the mind that came up with something. And that's the biggest crime of them all, is the curiosity I had was inspired by T21 and T35 cycles, right? I already had this baseline for pattern recognition, but before I knew it, I was tying 2 and 2 together. And then before I knew it, I was trying to post on Reddit about it, and then people would take it. And it's like, okay, well, how do I unfuck myself here? Right? So I just made my own channel. Well, I've had this forever, but I changed it from a gaming channel to this, you know? I was talking with, this was a couple weeks ago. I was talking with Mark Cahodes on a space call. And I already know people are going to fucking click away and dislike and unsub because I mentioned the name. But before you go into that, just listen, okay? People have these literal transitory, what the fuck is that? What is that blinking? That wasn't just me, right? That was fucking weird. Okay. But he and I were chatting on a space call about how, like, there are these intermittent episodes of reality that are all contingent upon whoever's reporting. Like, a bad headline will become everyone's reality for until it becomes corrected. But even after it's corrected, it's still everyone else's reality until they see that correction. So until there's a correction that is actually digested by people who were given a false reality, the false reality is reality. And now it's a game of catch up where you could have, I don't know, you could have God himself on CNN, right? But then a week later, it wasn't actually God. But until people know it wasn't actually God, all of the events that are reported about this godly figure are going to be perceived as acts of God. And then the ones who realized that it wasn't God and saw the follow-up saying, yeah, this wasn't actually God, are going to view all these events as heresy. And so now you have this very odd concept of what is around us all the time and becoming more and more prevalent with how fast information can be transferred, of these were acts of God and these were not. And you're going to have both sides just as fucking vitriolic as the other in the pursuit of this was true and this was not, and this was not true and this was true. You know what I mean? And I'm not diving into religion or any of that. It was just for rhetoric. But this is what goes on around us all the time. You know? And people get up in arms about Mark Cohodes and what he says. No. It's like, if Ken Griffin was willing to answer questions, would you not listen to him because of the things he supposedly did? And that's not to say Ken Griffin hasn't done anything bad, but I have no other figure to parallel this to that doesn't have inherent differences. If someone had answers to the very problem that you're in the pursuit of justice in, just because they weren't on your side, or so you think, isn't on your side, would you not listen to them? Ever heard of the expression, an enemy of an enemy is a friend to me? So, and this is going to be another video entirely because of the fact that it's such a big issue. It's something that has to be recognized. And that video will be about conflation of information validity and informational validity with authority. Just because something comes from person A, who is considered to be altruistic and benevolent, if the same thing comes from person A as person B, that doesn't mean person B is wrong because they are not of the qualities of person A. The perfect example is short interest data. Like, short interest data is primarily provided by a handful of data entities, but you have tenfold reporting services like Ortex who are just ingesting that data and then prettying it up so it's digestible by people like you and me, right? That's why you had this whole entire FinViz episode where FinViz was showing it correctly, and I think a platform called Mark Thompson were showing it correctly, but Ortex wasn't. And then everyone just made this bigger case against Ortex. Yet a day later, it was shown that, oh, well, actually FinViz and Mark Thompson were wrong because of an error in reporting. The true issue was error in reporting. The person who was actually, or the entity who was actually publishing this data fucked something up. But it became the problem of those who make a business of advertising it and publishing it. And then the issue again of, hey, it was an error in actual reporting became, oh, well, no, it's Ortex's fault, or it's FinViz's fault, and blah, 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 blah. And they're focusing on the platforms that just serve as amplifiers of information, not the information itself, not the sound wave, but the amplifiers. And that's where this entire, all of the issues that you see in the ape community revolve around, is this misattribution of information and conflation with the authority. I hope that made sense. I think we've been through this shit so long, people just forgotten how we got here. Money started this, money will end it. Everything in between is just noise. Very true. Yeah, a little pragmatic, but still true. So, yeah, you can't win. You should look at a filing on the Fed Register under SEC titled Sunshine Act. Really broad, but kind of weird. Can you send me a DM on Twitter of that? So this is probably going to be my last little piece for the night. And then I'm going to go fuck off and go to sleep or something. It piggybacks off of the conflation of authority and information thing, where just because the authority that is expressing information, if that makes sense, they're publishing information, that if the authority doesn't prove to be 100% this way or that way, that the information is also contingent upon this binary evaluation, right? For example, if Ken Griffin himself were to answer questions on all of this, one, would you not listen and not ask questions? And two, how would you judge those answers? These are both gradients. They are not absolute in either direction. And to have an openness to either side of this gradient spectrum is ultimately what allows you to learn the most and be able to navigate this entire informational challenge as seamlessly as possible. I then want to piggyback into the existence of Mark Cahodes, which a lot of people hate because of what is informational dissonance. For example, the concept that someone said he was in cahoots with Citadel because Citadel owns, I think it's like 7% of is it T-Box or it's fuck, what's that exchange? I think it's just Box. There's an exchange called Box, right? And Citadel, as a market maker, actually owns part of that, right? Now, Box itself has a 50% stake in T0, right? Well, what is T0? T0 is an alternative trading system that specializes in zero-day settlement, right? So as an alternative trading system, you need a tether to a legitimate trading exchange. You can't not have trades take place and then not have a concrete connection to the actual entity that this ATS is serving as a proxy for. If you're trading abstract securities, is the term I'm giving it, that ultimately create effect in tangible securities, like equity, if you have this abstract layer that serves as a proxy, such that you can take into effect zero-day settlement and then have it reflect into the actual equities world, you need a connection to a legitimate exchange. This one happened to be Box, right? So T0 has an approximate 50% ownership inside of Box, and Box has a 7% ownership with Citadel Securities, right? Well, who is the biggest market maker that the world has ever seen? And how would it not make sense for them to have part ownership in something that in itself is entirely benign to the underlying thing, which is T0, right? Does that make sense? So you've had this conflation, again, of authority and information, where you're judging the information by the authority. You also have, dissonance is going to be the fucking word of tonight. You have information, or generational dissonance. Mark is like 60 some years old. He was raised as just a no bullshit kind of guy. He's very direct and brazen, right? And I've told him this, you're a brazen motherfucker. And he takes pride in it because that's what truly brazen people do, right? And he's seen so many different tricks and foo balls that have been used to get around the radars of those who are supposed to bring corruption to justice, right? That he knows all these tricks. He's gone on record before any of this has ever happened and said like, hey, here's how they'll hide short interest in the options chain. Here's how they'll bypass certain settlement dates by borrowing shares and delivering those on settlement versus actually using the shares they had before settlement to settle the actual the report. It's like he has all of this fucking knowledge and wisdom in things that you won't see in a fucking publication because the same entities who publish all of these facts are the same ones owned by the perpetrators. So, okay, you have this guy who is very rigid, very brazen, just straight and to the point. He's not going to bullshit you. And then now we have this collection of people who have no idea what the fuck is happening. I mean, that's why my channel entirely exists, is because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. And we don't know what to do. We are afraid because there's this unknown. There, like, not just one, but for simplicity's sake, I'm collectivizing a lot of things. There's this unknown thing that we can't figure out. And then you have one of the guys who's been around this fucking circus a couple times come along and be like, hey, here's how I can help. Or here's some of my advice. Or here's some of my wisdom. And people start accusing him of agenda. It's like, okay, you think he's out to get everybody, but wait, he's offering help. He's out to get everybody, but he's offering help. He's out to get everybody. He has to be. And that's not to say that there aren't some things that should be questioned and answered by the person in question, but you tried that and he still had people fucking yelling at him. And my entire argument has been, he knows things that I don't and none of us know, and he's trying to share this. He's made his agenda very clear. Yes, he has part ownership in T0 because of his exposure to Overstock, which has like 33% of its valuation from T0. So he's owned Overstock since like 2012, I think. T0. So he has exposure to T0 because Overstock has it as part of their valuation. You know? It's like, and then people are citing these figures and diagrams of how Citadel has like 3.5% ownership by proxy of T0, which in itself, it's like saying that T0 is long on Overstock. You're tying all of these parts of the chain together and then trying to form some abstract narrative of, oh, they're out to get us because there's this indirect 3% ownership. And let me be clear. I don't have any ill will or malice towards those who went and investigated this. I tip my hat off to you. You know, Bigum's one of my best fucking friends throughout all of this. Is one of the guys that was like, hey, here's an example of indirect ownership via Citadel of Box, which has 50% ownership of T0. Like, I'm glad that he did that a lot. But I ask that people like him and everyone else bear the humility to realize, okay, it's not entirely this explicit ownership. It comes down to the same problem that has riddled me throughout all of this, which is I show that there's a cycle, and then people try to chastise me for, oh, it's a cycle. He's trying to set up expectations so that hedgies can then rug pull us. And it's like, no. Why do you have to... Why is it that anytime there's help being offered that it has to be of catastrophic intent? Like, let's assume that Mark does have had this secret agenda that is supposed to fuck everybody. How is he supposed to fuck everybody? What, T0 just becomes a black hole of securities? No, it doesn't fucking work like that. That's what the tape is for. The same thing Dave Lauer talks about. Like, oh, Citadel now has 3.5% ownership over AMC? No, because T0 doesn't have ownership over AMC. It's just a trading avenue. Like, that makes sense? It's frustrating because I've been in the hot seat of this before. There's been just about everybody has been in the hot seat of paranoid evaluation. So, Astro needs some vitamin D. I'm stepping up my nutrition game. Actually, no, I'm not even stepping it up. I'm making it a thing. It didn't exist beforehand, so it couldn't step up.
In Soviet Russia, T0 on AMC. Blitz.
So, anywho, on that note, I'm gonna go piss and shit, jerk off, and pass out. I love you guys. Thank you again for all the messages and shit that came through while I was gone. I'm buying a typewriter to actually type letters because I feel like I hate typing because I feel like it removes a lot of the sincerity and humanness from message. And I've got too many things that I have to thank for to write it. So, yeah, I'm going to go white cough. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here. Take it easy.